Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. So today we have Dan Malloy, the most unpopular governor in the United States that is a Democrat, and versus Larry Hogan, who is my governor. I was originally going to choose Charlie Baker, the most popular governor in the United States, who happens to be a Republican from Massachusetts, and I was originally going to choose him, but I actually know more about Larry Hogan for obvious reasons, so I decided to choose him instead because he is the second most popular governor in the United States, so I figured it would fit sort of the agenda that I'm trying to push here. Which is really just unpopular versus popular, and then I'm going to do another one of these videos with an unpopular Republican and a super popular Democrat. Even though the top 10 popular governors are all Republicans, it's really going to depend. So, safe blue states, California, Oregon, and Washington. I'm pretty much safe. Hogan states would be red states that went for Trump. Especially since Dan Malloy has a really low favorability rating in his own state. That one I would consider as a toss-up at this moment in time. And the fact that Larry Hogan has an extremely high approval rating in Maryland, I'm going to give that one to him. But other states are going to be a little bit tougher to call. So Illinois would be safe. Blue. Pretty much I'm leaving out all the toss-up states. New York, New Jersey would be safe. Delaware would be safe. District of Columbia would be safe. Connecticut would not be safe. Rhode Island, Rhode Island not so sure, and Massachusetts not so sure, and Vermont would be safe. New Hampshire not really, and one congressional district from the state of Maine would go to Malloy, and one would go to Hogan. And then the Maine at-large would be a toss-up. So these are all the toss-up states. The reason why I did Massachusetts and Rhode Island has similar views to Connecticut. Actually, I'm just going to fill it in for blue for now. But the main reason behind Massachusetts is they love moderate Republicans. Larry Hogan is a moderate Republican, and they love Charlie Baker, and if Charlie Baker really turned out the voters the same way he did for his election, I definitely think that Larry Hogan could become competitive in a state like Massachusetts, even with its dark blue identity. Dan Malloy is hated in Connecticut, close enough to Massachusetts for ideals to be similar, and the fact that Massachusetts loves moderate Republicans, and that's really going to be a big factor to play in. So if Massachusetts and Connecticut are toss-ups, the Rust Belt and the Trump states from 2016 are probably going to go to Larry Hogan. Actually, I forgot to give him Georgia, but now we're going to look in a state like Ohio and Iowa. These are two states that that Donald Trump carried in 2016, and I think Larry Hogan could easily hold on to these states. I don't think Dan Malloy has an appeal to the white working class pretty much at all, unless there is a bad Republican candidate. And then we're looking in the Rust Belt. Trump won these states. So I think that the Rust Belt would go to Larry Hogan. My reason behind it is I think Larry Hogan can better appeal to the white working class, coming up as a moderate Republican. Hey, I can fix your Obamacare, but I have some social liberal policies. Things like that the white working class loves. And pretty much either side of the Democratic Republican Party, they always try to nominate, either they do or try to nominate someone who is extremely far to the right or the left, and it always drags the eventual nominee farther to their own partisan ideals, and that really hurts them when appealing to moderates. But Larry Hogan is a moderate Republican. He was elected in a safe blue state, and because of that, that definitely could be a factor playing into the Rust Belt, since they do like bipartisan nominees. And then we look at Minnesota, a state that Trump narrowly lost to Hillary Clinton. I think Larry Hogan could easily flip that, especially with the base and the fact that they did vote for Marco Rubio in the primary, so I think that base would come out for Larry Hogan more than they came out for Donald Trump. In a state like Virginia, that one I easily could see going to Larry Hogan. The reason behind it is he's close enough to the state of Virginia, and I don't think they would see Dan Malloy as someone who can really appeal to their ideals, especially since he has a low approval rating. I think people are going to hear stories from inside his state, and that's really going to hurt him. North Carolina and Florida, both Trump states, I think that's enough justification. I think Larry Hogan will outperform Trump, and I think those voters there will go to Larry Hogan. Especially in Florida, more moderate voters would be more independent voters were more likely to go for a moderate Republican than a radical Republican. Interesting term there, but Colorado and Nevada. So Nevada does have moderate Republicans. They almost elected one for, well, they have one, Dean Heller, but they almost had one in 2016 for Harry Reid's seat, but it didn't work out. And I think Nevada could go red. I think that they would overwhelmingly choose, not overwhelmingly, I think they would choose Larry Hogan over Dan Malloy and eventually put him in that spot. And I know I am biased about this. We all have an inherent bias. So I kind of accidentally closed out of my recording tab, so we're just going to pick this back up. So we'll just go back to Colorado. So Colorado I would give to Larry Hogan. I think that the moderate Republicans will come out to vote for him, and I definitely think that a lot of the independent vote that normally goes for the Democratic Party would not go to Dan Malloy. New Mexico is an interesting choice. I'm not going to go to it just yet. In a state like New Hampshire, I don't think Dan Malloy will be able to really push up that I am a Northeastern agenda, and I think that Larry Hogan will hold on to that state. And Connecticut, Dan Malloy's approval ratings are in the 20s here. I think that Larry Hogan could really win over a lot of the Republican and Democratic voters and independent voters, enough to land him a victory in Dan Malloy's home state. This is how much approval ratings actually take into account. And in a state like Massachusetts, if Charlie Baker turns out for Larry Hogan, I think like a state like Massachusetts could go for Larry Hogan, especially since they love moderate Republicans. That would definitely help Larry Hogan's case. In a state like New Mexico, you know, history would normally tell us that this one would go blue. But Larry Hogan has a different case here. He can really appeal to the voters here, and I think that he could flip this state from the Democratic column and land it in the Republican column for the first time since George W. Bush, and that's going to be interesting. And finally, the state of Maine at large. That one would be contested, but again, I think that Malloy would make a lot of the Northeastern people mad, enough that Maine also definitely loves the moderate Republicans like Suzanne Collins, and it's a really bipartisan state, so I definitely think that they would choose Larry Hogan over Dan Malloy. So this is the final electoral map, 383 for Larry Hogan to Dan Malloy's 155. Of course, Larry Hogan wins this election. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you all tomorrow.